All right, we are live. So, good evening, everybody. Today we are going to talk about
Amen.
gender equality, and we have the contestants in the house. I want them to introduce themselves before we continue. Obiora.
I am Obiora Chukwuemeka. Good evening,
Okay,
everybody.
David.
My name is Ajayi Eneye David.
Okay. We have some health show. We have some moderators. Let me not just say about the health show because they are all moderating. So I want them to introduce themselves before we continue.
This is what rain is like in Nigeria.
So, Christiana.
We don't have to start for rain.
My name is Omar Christiana Idovo.
So, Gerard, please introduce yourself. Gerard. Gerard, can you introduce yourself? Okay. I think Gerard cannot hear me. Okay, we are going to proceed. The aim of this debate is to first of all get things clear. You know, there are many schools of thought concerning gender equality. Some believe that it is not real. Others believe that it is real, but some persons are.
Give me this. You already have one. So greedy.
Some persons are. Christiana, can you please control your noise,
Yes, you have one.
the noise from your end? So why some
Okay,
persons
sir,
are
sorry.
some persons believe that gender equality, although is real, but there are some principalities, right? Put it like that, who are riding on it and they are not riding it properly. So we want to hear from our debaters today to know how we can, let's say, choose a side and know finally what is the answer to this long question. So I'll give Obiora to open the speaking, and then have he has about 5 minutes or so. Then when he's done, David will do an open speaking before we start throwing our questions. Obiora.
Okay. Good evening once again, everyone. First, I have to thank the organizer of this. I think it is long overdue for us to tackle this very important issue as regards gender inequality and equality, gender equity, and all that. I think it is timely because the world is really going. Let me know use the word AWire. Okay, straight to the point. I will just pick the word gender equality. Obviously, for there to be gender inequality, there will be a word, there will be an equality term for it. That's gender equality. I'll pick UNICEF UNICEF definition 2020 says gender equality means means that women and men, girls and boys enjoy the same rights. Please, I would want us to be very observant of the terms. Means that men and women, girls and boys enjoy the same rights, resources, opportunities, and protection. It does not require that girls and boys or women and men be the same or that they be treated exactly alike. Please, I would want us to take important note of that last part. According to UNICEF, it says it does not require that girls and boys or women and men be the same or they be treated alike. If you go down, if you read the article by UNICEF on gender equality, it's progressed and said gender equality is more than just equal representation. It is strongly tied to women's rights. Now, to the topic gender equality, from definition already, we can see that there is no equality in the definition itself. It is more or less like a facade used by some persons to just encrypt gender equity and promote female domination of male. Because from definition already, if there is no equality there, it is saying that it is strongly tied to women rights, not to men and women, but to women rights. And if we go back, if we progress in 2017, I think when the SDG, Sustainable Development Goals, were set up. There are about, I think about 17, I can't be very sure, but about 17 SDG were set up. The fifth one is what a lot of persons that are campaigning for gender equality always embrace. The fifth one talks about gender equality. That's what on the superficial level, that's what people bring up, gender equality. But if you look at the article on gender on the SDG, the 17 of them, you see that the official wording of the fifth SDG says achieving gender equality and empowerment of all women and girls. I will reiterate it again. It says achieving gender equality and empower all women and girls. It means, again, from definition, because each SDG has a target and also has targets and has outcome. From definition, again, the focus again is not equal. From definition, there is no equality in the definition. The focus on the definition already, from not just from layman around, from UNICEF, it's already saying that it empowers all women to achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls. It means by default, we are not even starting. There is no equality from the start. There is no equality. And if you look at the if we go down and look at the aims, the outcome on how to get these goals, you would see that most of the empowerment or most of the targets that are set in these SDGs, they are majorly focused on women. It then begs the question, where does this leave the men? Where does this leave the men? Is it equal? Are we fighting for gender? Are we talking about gender equality or gender equity? Now, this question of whether it's gender equality or gender equity was actually answered by some of the one renowned feminist in India. She said gender equity, she was defining gender. She said gender equity is equal treatment or treatment that might be considered equivalent. Please, that might be considered equivalent in terms of rights, benefits, obligations, and opportunity. She then progressed and said, it doesn't equate one gender with another. Instead, it attempts to facilitate equal opportunities for all gender to overcome their historical and social differences. I just quoted a renowned feminist in India. What she said is, for us to discuss gender equality, we must talk about, we must emphasize, we must inculcate gender equity. And by definition, gender equity already puts the male gender at a disadvantage because it focuses on the historical and social disadvantages that the women, quote and unquote, have suffered probably in the past, because personally I feel both male and female have suffered to a large extent some social differences and systemic problems, not just the women. Now, if we progress on, if we look at it, we'll see that most feminists, what they're actually after, especially this generation of feminists, what we are actually after is not gender equality. Rather, they are looking at gender equity. They are using gender equality to mask it, but their intention is actually to push for gender equity, where the woman, the female child is promoted, is given sometimes undue and an unfair advantage over the male. Now,
okay, Obiora, I don't know if you can use the next 1 minute to wrap up.
Okay. Now, if we look deep down, if we analyze in some of these egalitarian society where we have a lot of gender equality being enforced, we would see that the way they measure most of this progress in terms of the outcome, that is, they are outcome oriented. They are looking at the percentages of male and female in in leadership and all that. This is on its own self-destructive. I'll pause here and progress later.
Okay, thank you very much for your opening. You are highlighted so many things. You're able to bring the difference between gender equity and gender equality, right?
Yes.
And then you gave a definition of both. So I don't know if any of the moderators or judges on ground, Mr. Roberts, I don't know if you can introduce yourself and put on your camera. Mr. Roberts, why is doing that?
Hello. Good
Okay,
evening.
yes, I can hear you. Good evening.
Yeah, sorry.
So I don't know if you have any question. If you have any question for the first contestant, he just poured out the opening and just gave his opening speech.
Okay. Yeah. I don't have any questions for Obiora, but
Okay.
he spoke about SDGs, and he spoke about SDG 5 in particular.
Okay.
So I want to ask if he read it in depthly or just the header.
Okay. So Obiora, you can respond to that.
Yeah, I read it. I read the header and I read it in words too. The targets
Okay.
and the
That's
indicators.
the official document. You read it.
Oh, okay, I didn't read the official documents, but I read.
Now, the
I
official
perused
document
through
is
it.
by who? Mr. Roberts. The official document is by who? United
By
Nations.
United Nations. Yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So apart from the header, there is an official document attached to those.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Those,
Yes.
okay.
There
Okay.
is, which speaks in depth on it. Yes. So I wanted to
All
know.
right. Okay. So, Mr. Gerard, do you have any comments for Obiora? Gerard, your mic is turned off. I think so.
Okay, sorry, not really. I'm enjoying the session.
All right, so it's fine. David, I think you will have to give us your opening comment.
Okay. Thank you very much for this great privilege to be on this show this evening. I must commend my co-debater. He has spoken very well, and he has already given some of the definition I would love to give. That is the one by UNICEF. So I also go ahead and give the definition that is other than that, which is almost similar. Anyways, that gender equality, also known as sexual equality or equality of sexes, is the state of equal ease of access. Let us also take note: equal ease of access to resources and opportunities, regardless of gender, including economic participation and decision making, and the state of valuing different behaviors, aspiration, and need equally, regardless of gender. Now, from the UNICEF definition, he also specified that gender equality does not mean that all sexes should be treated alike. Let us also note that. Now, what is the key point when we're talking about gender equality? The ease of access to opportunities, to resources. And if we look down memory lane, from time immemorial, there has always been an inequality in the ease to access to opportunities by different genders. I do not need to tell you that in the past, women were not allowed to do common things that men do. Now, you also made mention of the fact that the definition is biased from itself, saying empowerment of women. If women were not marginalized in the first place, there wouldn't have been a need to say we should empower women. Let me give a classical example. When democracy started, at first, women were not allowed to vote. Some countries considered that women's vote should be like through their husband, that their husband's vote represents a woman's voice. Women didn't have a voice. Also, many cultures around the world also considered women only for childbearing. So the ease of access to education for women has always been limited. Statistics are there to show this. Even till today, currently, there is still an unequal ease of access to education between men and women, between girls and boys. Let me bring it down to Nigeria. In Nigeria today, the literacy rate among men is 71.5%. The literacy rate among women is about 30%. Now, in Nigeria today, in the whole world in general, 2/3 of the world's illiterate people are women. This has gone to show that from time immemorial, systematically, women has always been marginalized. They have always been given lesser ease to opportunities all the time. Now, I'll try to use statistics because my co-debater has said that we are just using statistics to prove our point. All we are trying to do is that now you can't just come and say, okay, maybe, for example, in Nigeria, 7 out of 10 women are unbanked. That means they don't have a bank account. I would choose to believe that maybe they don't just, I don't know if my co-debater choose to believe that women just woke up and think that they don't need a bank account. Now, in Nigeria, house ownership, about 40.1% men either own houses, either personally or in jointly with a partner. But only about 10% of women have that privilege. This is to show that systematically in Nigeria, culturally, most cultures do not consider women to be able to inherit property from their parents or from their husband when their husband passes on. So now, when we are talking about gender inequality, let us not come to the statistics. Let us talk about what brought about those statistics. Now, you talk about an equal representation in leadership. How can women have equal representation with men when not enough women are educated as men? If from the beginning we have, like, how will I call it, 51 point something percent of men educated and a lesser percentage of women educated, how do you intend that they should compete? Now, the definition of UNICEF was stating that empowerment of women simply because it has been.
David, can you use the next 1 minute to round up?
Okay, so from the definition, why we are saying women need to be empowered is because from what we have seen, from cultural practices, from social and all kinds of imaginations, women have always been underprivileged. They have always had lesser ease to opportunities. Women have lesser access to education, lesser access to healthcare. They even don't have control over their bodies. Child marriages here and there. When a woman goes into a marriage as a child, they become dependent. They are disadvantaged even from the beginning. So let us talk about the causes, the things that bring about inequality in women, the things that make women not to be able to compete as much as men. These are the things that brings about the statistics that we talk about. So it's not just like we trying to parade statistics to make sure like women dominate over men. No, that is not it. We are saying let equal ease of access be given to everyone. By that, we can assure that there's equality in all aspects. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Gerard, do you have any question for David? What about Robert? Robert, you have any question for David? Okay.
I have a question for David.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. What do you think about the, let's say, new feminist movement? What is your take on that? Because you spoke about how education can lead to non-participation in politics and all that. But now we've seen an increase in female education, right? Compared to what it was decades ago.
Yeah.
And still, that gap is still very large.
Okay. Yeah. Before you respond to that, David, I have another question for you. You mentioned about you give some statistics which were very, very emotional. I want to know what's actually the cause. What do you think is actually the cause that we have that statistics? Like women and men were created the same day. So why does it seem like one is ahead of the other, and then why? What brought about these discrepancies in the statistics?
Okay, thank you very much. Now, if from the first question we're talking about there's an increasing number of women being educated, and how has it affected the current terrain, if I'm right? Yeah. Now, to answer that question, the movement for gender equality didn't start today. The movement for women's rights didn't start today. And we are very glad that we have seen improvements. If you also go to the World Bank website or the WHO website, you also see statistics to show that there has been a higher level, like the gap between men and women have been closed, especially, and you can tie this down to the fact that there's a change in mentality. There is a campaign against marginalization of women. there is a campaign against social cultural practices that do not support women. So over time, the more women become educated, the more the gap keep closing. The lesser women we push into child marriages, the more we have, the less dependent women we have, the more empowered women we have. So it's not like it didn't start today. Before now, women couldn't vote. For centuries, for years, women didn't vote. So now, how do you expect women to suddenly stay on the same pedestal with men who have participated solely in politics for years? So I want to state that it takes time. Women now have at least almost equal access to education, but we know that there is a generational, or there's like a recurrent marginalization of women. This is just like women coming in. Over the past year, there's been an increase in the number of representation in the parliament in Nigeria. You can also check the statistics. Now, every year, we have an increasing number of female world leaders. So it doesn't start today. It's a continuous process. And we believe that with the efforts the SDGs and the WHO and the UNICEF are putting and the campaigns that are going on, we believe that we can close the gap. That's what we believe in. Then to answer your question, sorry, if you can come again with your question, Mr. Ezekiel.
What is the cause of these discrepancies in the statistics between the male and the female gender?
Yes, as I was trying to say,
you mentioned child marriages. Is child marriage the reason why there are fewer women in politics? And then is child marriage the reason why fewer women are not educated today? So
okay, okay, thank you very much. If you remember when I was making my definition, I made emphasis on equality, on the ease of access to opportunities and resources. Now, we are still in 21st century, and a lesser percentage of girls are educated compared to men. That trend continues. You understand? So it's not. Let's stop looking at what happens at the end. Let's look at how it all started. If there are 10 boys and 10 girls, and 7 girls and 7 boys are educated, whereby only 3 girls are able to have access to education, what do you think about the future statistics? Now, talking about child marriage, a child that is 17 years with no means of income goes into a marriage dependent on the man. How does that girl compete with his fellow man who owns a business? When women, in families, when the man dies, the properties are being shared most times in most cultures amongst the men, and the women are left with nothing. So now tell me, how do they compete financially? So these are the cause of the statistics. Social, how will I put it? Some social things that are not actually social abnormalities, some cultural abnormalities, and some inherent archaic mentality that women are meant only for childbearing, which we are very happy that today in 21st century we've made giant stride in trying to eradicate such mentality. There are people now who think that women can do as much as men. There are people now who give birth to 5 girls and the 5 of them are educated. In the past, it is not so. So these are the reasons why there's a difference in the statistics. This is why there is a gap in what you can see today. It doesn't just start from like in offices or something. It starts from somewhere, which is from the root, the equality to the ease of access to opportunities. Thank you.
So thank you very much. Thank you very much, David, and the contestant. Now, this is how it's going to go. I believe while you were talking or while Obira was talking, both of you have questions for yourselves. So Obira, over to you. I believe you have some questions for David. So just make it brief, and then once you drop a question, give about at least 30 seconds for response so that it doesn't become clumsy.
Okay, thank you so much, and thank you, Mr. David. Nice, very, very nice and solid points you have raised. However, for the record, I will have to reiterate that as of 2018, the literacy rate for male in Nigeria is 86.4% in urban areas. The literacy rate for females in urban areas is 74%. please let's put that on record. For over 30.
Hello? David, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I think some Obiora's mic just went off. Right? Hello?
Yes, I think his mic is muted.
Okay. So maybe network or something. Okay, so let's wait for him to get that sorted out. And in the meantime, if you are watching this stream and you have any questions for any of the contestants, just type in their name as you see on the screen, and then type in their name and type the questions that you want in the comment section, and I will be able to see it and read it out for them. So, Mr. Robert.
Yes.
Okay, for now, I think we should throw some questions to David. Okay, David, question number one. I think there are some set questions that we have for you. Do you think people pushing for gender equality are sincere about it?
Okay, if I think people pushing for gender inequality are sincere about it.
Yeah, gender equality, rather.
Yeah, I can. Gender inequality, sorry, like people who think gender should be unequal. Sorry, come again.
If gender should be equal, people who push for gender equality, if they are sincere about it.
Of course, I use myself as an example. I am very much sincere about, and I'm very passionate about making all genders have equal ease to access and opportunities. And these have been made exemplary in different facets of life. We have the WHO, we have the UNICEF, we have SDGs, we have different campaigns supporting gender equality. This is because everyone has seen the usefulness, the necessity that everyone have equal ease of access. So it's not just people looking for attention. I do not believe that UNICEF is looking for attention. I do not believe that WHO is looking for attention. I do not believe that World Bank is looking for attention. Also, there are also researches to show that if there is equality of access by all gender, if women are allowed to participate in economic activities as much as
we can hear you, Obera. Just give us a minute. Continue,
so,
David.
like, there's also a statistics that say, for example, in Nigeria, if women are allowed to participate in the economy as much as men, there could be about a 25% growth in our gross domestic product. That's our GDP.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you
very much.
Okay, please.
Hold on, David.
Yes, I didn't. I'm sorry. I had connection problem, so I'm sorry I wasn't able to.
So can you?
I wasn't able to. So please let me briefly drive on my point. I feel Mr. David is mixing it up. Equality of access is different from equality of outcome. I think the mistake Mr. David is making, is equating equality of access to equality of outcome. Those are two antithetical concepts. Now we'll go to the Scandinavian countries that have practiced gender equality for over 3 decades. If you go to Denmark, for example, the literacy rate in Denmark is about 99% for both male and female. Now, but each of them, the males and the female, basically, they have almost 100% literacy rate. But their choice of career, is it the same? Because now you are, Mr. David is assessing gender equality, is blaming gender inequality for women non-participation in politics. No, in most of those Scandinavian countries, the ratio is about, for those, for example, women that choose careers like people that are into leadership, into politics, I think about 29%, or 26%, I'm not too sure. But women that are going to the likes of some of those caring, some of the likes of nursing and all that, the exact statistics for those going to nursing, for Scandinavian countries, these are countries that practice gender equality. Nurses and all that, I think the ratio is about 20-1 for female to male. Then if you go to careers such as engineering, it is about 20-1 for that of male to female. So I feel equality of access is quite different from equality of access is quite different from equality of outcome. Are you going to blame gender equality? Are you going to blame gender inequality for the disparity in political position held in Scandinavian countries? In fact, just 2015, a Canadian minister mandated, it is on record, mandated that his cabinet be formed by 50% women. But what happened? In the end, it was just 26%, even though they have a very high, they have over 90% literacy rate. They had just 26% of women that were really, really competent. What did the man do? He then applied equity. Out of those 26%, the about 24% that was left, we are choosing from women against men. So the whole essence, it's quite different. I think it is unfair for us to use statistics to correlate between ease of access and outcome. There are two different concepts. It's like blaming men. Okay,
Obiora, thank you very much. I understand your point. If I understand you clearly, you're saying when they put out this opportunity out there, you can't get enough women to fill this role. Is that what you are trying to say?
What I am saying is, despite their being educated, people make choices. We shouldn't be equating ease of access to equality of outcome. Okay. These are two. There are so many factors that affect choices, and gender is just one of them.
Okay, so focusing on gender is looking quite biased. That's what you feel?
Yes, focusing on gender using outcome, it's biased because there are so many factors. Women are more interested in people, while men are more interested in things. Their choice of career is determined by some of these factors. So blaming and pushing just gender inequality as the sole determining factor, I feel is unfair.
All right. Thank you very much. David, you're going to respond to Obiora very soon, but I have a question for you, David, from Chisom. It is on the screen. You can read it. Can you see it on your screen?
Are we arguing gender equality or the cause of inequality? David, is there any woman has been marginalized in terms of access?
Women have been marginalized?
Is there any way women have been marginalized currently? Yeah. Okay. Now, whether we are arguing gender equality or the cause of inequality, why is there gender inequality? The women just wake up and decide that, oh, I don't think I want to participate in politics. I don't think I want to own lands. I don't think I want to own properties. Or women don't just like have the general, they don't just like to own property. They don't like to be outspoken. They don't like to be political. We need to talk about the cause so we can see okay, now what we are saying, this is what the cause is. Now, my co-debater was talking about that we should leave the statistics. He is saying we should focus on the individuality of how women make their choices. Now, we are talking about what are the factors that make women choose their choices. Social factors, cultural factors, and beliefs that have no correlation with senses. And hold on, let me finish.
I beg to object.
Let me finish. Now, you cannot fault statistics. It has also shown that with increasing number of educated women, the gap between men and women in participation of politics in all sectors have been drastically reduced. So you can't fault increase in ease of access to opportunities as the cause of inequality, because it has shown over the years that as women begin to gain more ease of access to opportunities, an increase in the rate at which the gap is being closed. And now you can also take your time and go through the WHO website. You can also go through the World Bank website, and you can see the statistics they are giving about how the ease of access to opportunities have increased and alleviated gender inequality in all countries.
I feel a fallacious statement is being made, sir.
Okay.
So if you say the statistics are wrong,
David,
I don't know what you are a scientist.
David, thank you very much. Thank you very much, David. Thank you very much.
Think like a scientist.
Thank you very much.
I feel.
Can you hear me, Obiora? Can you hear me?
I feel. Please, can I say something? I feel. As we are both scientists. I feel we are both
Hello,
scientists
Mr.
and we
Obiora.
should think scientifically. And what
Mr.
I have
Obiora.
said, I didn't say we should neglect. I can hear you.
Okay, good. I want you to give me a few seconds. I want David to respond to the question on the screen first of all before we move forward. David, is there any way women have been marginalized in terms of access currently? Access to access to resources, access to education. Is there any way they are being marginalized currently? Especially your contestant here, Obiora, mentioned the Scandinavia countries and some other European countries that have well implemented this gender equality, but still things are not going to plan.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's a shame that Africa is backward. So we are very happy that in advanced societies that people have been pushing for gender equality over time. Take, for example, I'll take you back to World War II. In World War II, when there were enough of men in UK, in Britain, when there were enough of men being shipped to war, there were lesser hands to work in the factories and all that. Then the Prime Minister, what's his name? Winston Churchill, were like, what are they going to do? There's decreasing number of workforce of women in the factory, of men in the factory. Then he was like, okay, let us allow some women to work in the factory. And after a while, they discovered that, wow, so this could help. Before then, women were not allowed to take some particular jobs. So what am I saying? After then, they saw that women could actually become productive in some aspect of the society, of the economy. Now, that is long ago. That means even in UK, there were a time where women were being marginalized from some particular roles and some jobs. So the success you are seeing in Scandinavian countries didn't start today. And
Okay, David, thank you very much. Thank you very much for your response. Obiora, you have your time. Obiora, hold on. You have your time. Mr. Robert, I think I want to throw in a comment, one or two questions for David. I think I don't know if you have any so far before we go over to Obiора's comment.
Okay, I just have observations, right?
Okay.
There are statements that have been made.
Okay.
First, I'll start with David, where he says the increase in choice for women in Scandinavian countries has brought about bridging in gender gap. But then again,
That's a fallacy.
It has kept the same. Hold on. It has kept the same disparities that we see all over the world, right?
It's open small. The more you open it, it's open small.
Hold on.
Men still earn more than women because men are in managerial roles. Women are like caregivers and all that, right? But and before I say this, I am a social studies graduate, right? I currently work as a social economist. So SDGs, all these UN things is what we do every day, right? You guys are talking about this from your scientific point. I know social science is different from the natural sciences. We can say that this does not correlate or it does not make any sense. But then we have been on Earth as humans for 200,000 years, right? You introduce something new into the system, even you guys as medical personnel, right? You do not expect results just within 10 to 20 years for something that has been going on for over 2 centuries. You get? I'm just talking about the modern inequality we are talking about. I'm not talking about from 200,000 years, right?
Yeah.
It's like there are two people. I lock one in a room. I give the other one tools to succeed. Then finally, I let them go into the world and I'm saying, okay, after a year, this person has not succeeded. This is too short a time for us to say in Scandinavian countries, it has not brought any difference. This is from the social perspective, right? So that's why that argument, we've had it a lot of times. But that is it. It is too short because as human beings and as societies,
you're saying it's too short for the time is too short to determine.
Yes, for you to determine human change, right?
So you're saying, are you saying now David or Obiora? Okay, continue.
No, I'm just clarifying it. I'm clarifying it for them both, right?
Okay.
And also, as human beings,
please, can I
our development.
quickly say something? Can I?
No, hold on.
Just hold on. Human development, right? There are two theories to human development, which I'm sure we'll converse about: the nature and the nurture, right? Our environment is a major determinant of what we do. The choice, what we call choice, is just our knowledge of options, right? Choice is not that we have unlimited variations and all that. It just means that we know some things. You might know two things and you think, oh, I have two choices, but there may be more than that. You get what I'm saying? So because of that environment factor, women over time have been boxed into these roles. So it will take more than a decade or two to give them that ability, because it's one thing giving somebody power, it's another thing giving the person the ability to use that power. You understand?
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't want us to dwell on that Scandinavian issue, because from a social point of view, the time is too short. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. David, you were trying to give a comment. Obiora, I can hear you.
Yeah, I can. Yeah. I'm sorry.
I think he's just
you're
trying to add to
trying.
what he's saying. That is why I think the point where Obiora is getting it, it's not getting what we are trying to say. Is okay. I think what Obiora is
Okay, Obiora, can you hear me?
Hello, I can't hear David.
We are trying to say, we are not saying that we should just let everything just be given equally. Like appointments be given to women. Let 50%, let's 50 of member of parliament be women. Let 50 be women.
Okay, can I say
Thank you very
something?
much, David.
No,
Thank you very much.
Sorry,
Obiora.
Hello,
Yes, okay. I can hear you.
Obiora, I think I've asked David one of these questions before you when you went offline then. So
okay.
I think it'll be right if I ask you the question. David, hold on, please. Obiora, do you think people pushing for gender equality are sincere about it? Or do you think they're trying to, what do you think is their aim? Because the way you stand right now, I understand your position concerning gender equality, but I want to know what you think.
Like I said earlier, thanks again for giving me this opportunity. Like I said earlier, I said gender equality is a facade scripted by feminists to masquerade gender equity and promote female domination of male. It is clear. It is not the sincerity of purpose. The sincerity of purpose is clearly, because from the SDG down to the implementation, down to even prominent feminists, because there's no way we can talk about gender equality without talking about feminists, the stance of feminists. It is quite obvious. It is. It is. Please permit me to correct a statement. To correct a wrong notion that my co-debater said earlier. He was trying to. He was trying to limit. He was trying to say that the gender, that the issue, the thing we see in Scandinavian countries because of literacy rate. That's entirely false. We are scientists. I think basically a large chunk of us around here, we are scientists and work based on proof. A work that was done in most of the likes of Denmark, most of those Scandinavian countries, those egalitarian societies that have practiced gender equality for over 3 decades. I'm not talking about 5 years ago. It is seen that the more egalitarian a society is, the more the gender differences. It is seen that even though their literacy rate, for example, Denmark is 99%, their choice of career, a lot of them, women and men, they are quite different.
Thank you very much.
Men are more interested in.
Thank you very much, Robert. I think your comment, your last statement, I will give Robert a few minutes to cross-check them, and he will give us a report later. I have another question for you. Bringing it home, do you think gender equality can be practiced in Nigeria? If you were to believe that at all for one bit that there is a disparity between male and female and is not actually based on their choices, do you think it can be practiced in Nigeria? Your question is directed to you.
I would repeat again, just like I said in the definition. Yeah, just like I said in definition, I am up for only a stupid man would not be up for equality of access to resources. I'm up for it, but for equality of outcome, which most times is being measured, which is most time is a measure of equality of access, I'm not up for it. Bringing it
All
home
right.
to Nigeria, I feel Nigeria we are quite different from the West in terms of socio-cultural and religious perspective.
Okay.
Will be sounding very stupid to say we are going to drive home Western ideology without considering the fact that a large chunk of Nigerians are religious, and they also reason along cultural line. And because of this, ease of access is very much practicable. It's very much ease of access, but
Okay.
equality of
Thank you very much.
outcome is
Obiora,
something I
ease
think
of access,
would be
ease of access.
futile, or it would be a waste of resources, and
Okay.
it will bring anarchy.
Obiora, thank you very much. David, bringing it home, do you think gender equality can be practicable in Nigeria? David, can you hear me? Okay, Obiora, let me give you my last question before David. I think David is having network issues. Using Ukraine as a case study, will you think Ukraine? What happened recently was that the men were not allowed to leave the country, while the women were allowed to leave. The men were kept back. So, what is your comment to that and relating to the topic that we have today?
That is I actually allowed. I just wish my co-debater was around. I actually allowed him to to bring out his point on the inequality that women has faced historically. But it is a fact that more men, I think it's a staggering ratio of about 10-1 or so, I'm not too sure. More men have paid the ultimate price than women in terms of war. We can't even quantify that. That's basically different between a man. We can't even quantify that. If we are looking at wars, feminists or people for gender equality, they don't push equality of access. They don't push equality of access or equality of inclusion in fighting of wars. It is almost an anti-man policy. For wars, you see obviously that you have more men. In fact, women are barely enlisted, but men are compulsorily enlisted to fight wars against their will. Now, if you even look at, if you just
Obiora, thank you very much. David, I'll give you time to respond to using the Ukraine war as a case study. What is your stand? How do you use that to push your stand? And what are your reasons? What do you think can be the reasons for why men were not allowed to leave? Why women were allowed to go to safety, leaving the men behind to fight the war?
Okay, thank you very much. I'm actually very how will I put it? The way my co-debater has an issue with the quality of the equality to ease of access of opportunities is always hammering on it. I don't know why you don't want everybody to have equal ease of access to opportunities. Meanwhile, we'll come back to that. Now, taking the Ukraine.
No. He actually.
I think that's a wrong. I didn't say that. I didn't say that so that I'm not misquoted. I said I am up for equality of access, but equality of outcome, which is to some extent used a measure of this equality of access, it will lead to anarchy.
Okay.
We have seen it in Scandinavian countries.
All right.
Let me quickly respond to the question on ground. Now, you're talking about in Ukraine where men were told to stay back and the ladies were allowed to leave. Now, when you looked at the definition of gender equality, you also said we should take note that it should be noted that this doesn't mean that men and women should be treated alike or in the same way. Now, what does that mean? We are trying to say that we cannot we cannot choose to neglect the fact that there are inherent physiological and biological differences between men and women. We cannot avoid the fact that men are readily more stronger than women. That is a fact. That's a biological, and we know it. So in terms of war, it only makes sense that we put the persons who are readily available for war to go to fight. Now, what we are saying, if there are women who want to go to war, don't limit them. But we both know that men are readily stronger than women. That is the only reason.
What of the men that are not ready? What of the men that are not ready to fight?
Please, can I say something, sir? What about men that are not ready? And if you can to contribute more to fighting wars, do you think it is justice for you to be paid the same amount of money as women that don't go into wars? For example, those in army.
Okay, Obiora, let David respond here.
Okay, now you are asking for men who are not strong enough to go to war. That's why before you enlist people in the army, yes, you find the ones that are stronger. That's why elderly men will not be led there. They chose an age range, which is the age between the active men who are supposed to be readily strong.
Can I correct that again?
Obiora, hold on.
Let me finish. And now, when you were talking about participation in the army, now people in the army, there should be no distinction between in stratification of pay grade or whatever. Men in army shouldn't earn more than women. Why? Because if they undergo the same training and they face the same threat and everything, why should the men earn more? Now, what we are saying now is that even in the past, women were not allowed to be enlisted into the army because they felt that they aren't strong enough, in quote. Now, what we are saying now is that now, in war times, we know that more men are readily stronger than women. It makes sense that we use the men in such cases. That doesn't have anything to do with equality of access or gender equality. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Mr. Robert, I think I should give you the time to make your findings and any comment.
All right, thank you. Based on this last session.
Robert, are you here?
Yeah, hello, can you hear me?
Okay, I think he's having some network troubles. David,
hello?
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I think based on the last session, there are some comments made. Let me start from this war, where David said that men are readily available, which is not a right statement because readily available, both genders are readily available. That is one. Then also, Obiora said let's not think we can force Western ideology on us because of our religion and our culture. That statement is questionable because what religion are you talking about? Christianity and Islam, they were both forced on us. So foreign things can also be forced on a community. That is where we have culture shock. It could either absorb it or reject it. So those are the two questionable statements made. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Can I make a statement, please?
Can you hold on? Both of you.
Okay.
Hold on. We are strongly running out of time. I'm going to give you people last 1 minute each. So why I told you to hold on is because I want you to take your time and know exactly how you want to round up or close this session. Take your time properly. This session you will not be allowed to throw any questions to anybody. You will just give a wrap up of your ideology, of your what you believe, so that we can call it today. It's ready now, almost an hour already. And before we go over, David, you'll be allowed to speak first before Obiora. But then before we go over, today is I think World Emergency Day. So I'm coming. I want us to. Okay, David, just go on. I would make an announcement. Hold on. So you can give your.
That's my last chance to speak today, right?
Yes, your last chance.
Yeah, I want to sincerely thank the organizers and everybody present today for this privilege to air my opinion. And I also want to thank my co-debater precisely. He has been very enlightening, very intelligent, and I've indeed learned a learn something today. Now, I want to conclude by saying that gender equality is necessary in all societies. And this has been made very explicit in advanced societies, where increase in participation of women in all aspects of the economy has led to an increased results and everything. And also, it has also shown in all societies that increase in participation of women in politics, in business, in all things that are important, has led to an increase in the economic productivity of that country. Taking Nigeria as a case study, like as I was saying earlier, it has been said that if more women are allowed to participate in the economy, the GDP of Nigeria can grow by 25% by 2025. So who wouldn't push for gender equality? Who wouldn't want women to participate in the economy as much as men, when we know that the results are bounds? Now, I also say that, yes, gender equality and those pushing for gender equality, we are not masqueraders. We know what we are doing. We have seen results over time, and we are confident that with more effort, we are going to bridge the gap. It's not a day's journey. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. And we are putting all the much effort needed. We are trying to change mentalities. We are trying to catch them young. We are trying to raise up children to think, to know that men and women can have equality to ease of access. And this is what we continue to hammer on. Their SDGs, their WHO goals, and we know that we continue to push this campaign from the grassroots, and definitely we will be able to bridge the gap between men and women in the society, and everybody will be happy. Thank you very much. And
Thank you
even my
very much.
his wife and his female children will be happy to have a society where they can have the voice. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much. Obiora, you can have your time. Hello, is Obiora online? Okay. While Obiora is sorting himself out, we have Gerard and Robert. I don't know. I want you to give your comments, Mr. Robert, while Obiora is sorting himself out.
My comment on what was just said.
No, comment on the general session.
Okay, on the general session. Yeah, it has been interesting. It got heated at some point, but it's still part of what makes it interesting. And
Okay.
I would
Can
like
you
to
please
hear
hold on?
Obiора's final.
Hold on again. Hold on again.
Okay.
You are supposed to give your general comment after Obiора's final. So I think Obiora is back on. Mr. Obiora.
Okay. Yes, I'm here.
All right. So give your final comment. So please, you have 1 minute.
Okay. Once again, I want to thank the moderator and the organizer of this very enlightening debate. It has been enlightening, I think it's not just for my co-debater and also for me too. To drive home my point, once again, gender equality, like I said, is actually a facade scripted by feminists to masquerade gender equity and promote female domination of male. And this has been shown from their methods, from their strategy, from the way they intend driving home this pseudo gender equality. We don't see females, we don't see feminists fighting for inclusion in wars. We don't see females fighting of kicking against the selective service system, where men between ages of 18 to 25 are compulsorily asked to enlist into the army in case of war. We don't see feminists doing that. It is a systematic way to ensure women dominate men. And this may be because of their perceived historical advantage that men have over women. Thank you.
Okay, Obiora, are you done? Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I will have Gerald. Please, can you please say something? Gerald, are you online? Okay, why Gerard is sorting himself out. So, Mr. Robert, I think you should give your final comment, and then we'll make our final remark on who did well in convincing the viewers. Who did well in convincing the viewers? All right.
Okay, yeah, like I said, it has been very entertaining. It has been very interesting. It got heated. It's any debate that doesn't get heated, it's not a debate. So
That's
kudos
true.
to
That's
both
true.
debaters. They did a great job in passing across their points.
It was
And
an interesting section. Yes, I'm on. I'm on.
Mr. Gerard, hold on. Can you please hold on? Let Mr. Robert speak.
okay, yes. So from my own perspective, right,
Yes.
I do not think gender inequality is a facade. But for the sake of the debate, Obiora gave his points better. He was more articulate. He gave stronger points. So I'll go for Obiora.
All right. Mr. Gerard. Mr. Gerard, okay, Mr. Gerard is finding time to sort himself out. So, um, I think I would just make a few comments then and see if Gerard is back before I finish. Then he can give his comment. Obiora, there were two things that Obiora kept highlighting: equality of access and equality
Equality of outcome.
of outcome. He keeps stressing that gender equality people, which are the people that David supports, usually measure gender inclusiveness with the outcome instead of the access. So if you give 100 male and 100 female the same access to education, according to Obiora, the number of female participating in politics will not change. Will not change because women or female are generally
May
gendered
not
towards a particular toward the particular line of profession, with a particular aspect of living. So that is what it starts. And for David is stressing the fact that leave these things consistently. That is, leave these assets there consistently, and over time we will get to see these changes show, just like the way he was trying to show with most of the developed countries, which Obiora largely disputed. So just like with what Mr. Robert said, Obiora was quite articulate, gave his point, and it was quite emotional too. David kept fluctuating between the two sides. So I think I'll go with Obiora in his in this debate for the sake of this debate. But the fact remains this: for the viewers out there, gender equality is real, inequality is real. However, Obiora identifies the fact that there is gender inequality, but the way the what do you call them, the principals are going about it, it's looking as if it's an anti-male. That is his idea. It's an anti-male. Obiora, just give. I don't want to give you. We'll just mention one instance why you think it's an anti-male propaganda or something.
Okay, I would drive home my point with first the cited war. You don't see feminists coming out to ensure that the selective civil service system, where males between 18 to 25 years are compulsorily asked to enlist into the army because of war. I also highlight my other points in issues of rights to parenthood. You don't see feminists consciously or actively kicking against the rule that almost keeps the man out of the child's life. You don't see feminists doing that. I'm going to please just let me drive home my point on reproductive issue with just give me just maximum a minute. Now, at present, do you know that a male, probably you have a man and a woman who have consensual sex, and the woman is pregnant. I want to use developed nation like US and all that. Whether the child decides to live is entirely dependent on the woman. They've been court cases like that before. If the woman decides not to keep the pregnancy and abort, it is the survival of the child or the the fatherhood of the man is at the mercy of the woman. You don't see feminists kicking against that. We don't see feminists
Okay.
kicking against that at all.
Obera,
Do you know there are more funding? You do know there are more funding in prostate cancer research than there are more funding in breast cancer research than prostate cancer research. It is my area. You have more funding in breast cancer than prostate, and you see people. There's been an increasing number of males being dying from prostate cancer. The funds put into research for things that pertains to male is almost infinitesimal compared to that. We don't see females.
You are going into testy waters. Just hold on. That is another debate. That is another debate for.
There is no Ministry of Men Affairs in Nigeria, but there's Ministry of Women Affairs.
Obera, yeah, funny. Mr. Gerard, please, can you give us a comment? Give us a comment so we can wrap this up. Mr. Gerard, can you please give us a comment?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you. Mr. Gerard. Okay. I don't know what is wrong with his mic.
His mic is actually.
I think he's muted.
He's talking, but we can't hear him.
Yes, I think he's muted.
Okay, let me check if I can unmute him from my end. Gerard. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
yeah, we can hear you now.
Hear you.
His mic is actually very bad.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, can you hear me properly now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay, for the sake of the debates, I think Mr. Obiora had more points. He had more points to convince us about his plights for the sake of the debates. But then I feel we all should work towards gender equality, actually. Mr. Obiora, you made mention of equating access to opportunity, right?
Yeah, I said I'm up for equality of access to opportunity, but I'm not up for equality of outcome.
Hello?
Wow.
Okay.
Hello.
I think his
my network is very bad.
Some network issues. So thank you very much for all your inputs. Thank you for your time. I appreciate the viewers. If you want to, we are going to have more of these events subsequently, probably every Sunday. So I really want you to hook up and then subscribe to the channel. We are going to have a lot of interesting topics that we all will be able to participate in. Thank you very much, Obiora. Thank you very much, David. Mr. Robert, I appreciate your time and your, objectiveness. I really appreciate it. I know Mr. Robert, I know his position, I know his stance, but he was able to give us a very, very, a very rational view towards for the sake of the debate. And if Obiora is convincing people more, then why is it? Mr. Robert, I don't know, can you give us a final comment? Why do you think Obiora is convincing everybody? And then it seems everybody wants to fight for gender equality, but Obiora is presenting his points. So what do you have to say about that?
Okay. Why he's convincing everybody? Yes.
Yeah.
It's not that what he's saying is 100% true, right? But the counter is not the same quality with what he's saying. You understand?
Okay.
He's debating with good points. He's debating with strong points, right? But then there are better ways to counter those points, which were not given today.
Okay.
So
I
he's
think
more
that.
convincing than his opponent. Yes.
All right. So I guess Obiora, maybe one of these days we can bring you on board with somebody who can easily and perfectly counter this your points. Thank you very much
But
for
please, I would reiterate again for the sake of viewers that I am up for equality of access to opportunity for both male across all gender. Okay, male and female. You know, these days gender is an ambiguous word, but I'm a Nigerian and I obey the laws of the land. The law of the land acknowledges only two gender at present, so I'm not an outlaw. But I'm 100% for access of ease of access of opportunity to male and female, but I'm against ensuring equality of outcome. I feel a lot goes into play in determining the outcome. Gender is just one of them.
Okay, I think maybe the next debate is going to be that topic: equality of outcome or equality of access. Which of these should
that would be beautiful.
I think that's that for that. Thank you very much, Mr. Robert. Thank you very much, Obira. I really appreciate you guys for being here.
Yeah, Obira, well done.
Well done. Thank you very much. Yeah, we'll call it a day. Bye bye.
Thank you.